Guys, welcome back. Today we're going to go over what tools I use when I make my blankets. Some of them might surprise you, but most of them are pretty straightforward. Um, I've got the whole list, the whole shebang right here. So we're going to go over this as in-depth as possible without having squirrel brain kick in. First up, yarn. We're going to need yarn. I like to use this Loops and Threads Soft Classic. It's soft, it's durable, it holds up, it's not scratchy, and it's squishy, and there's a pretty decent amount of colors. I haven't needed to jump into another brand to find a color I've needed. Next up, hooks. Pretty straightforward. All kinds of gauges, all kinds of materials. This one's a resin, wood. This one has kind of a squishy. This one's just hard plastic. And whichever handle I use really depends on how I'm feeling that day, where my senses are going. Like, oh, I want to be squishy, I'll use this one. Or if I want something that's going to fit in my hand and hold the curves, I'll use this one. If I want just basic, there's these guys. And I do have these all in a variety of different shapes. Well, not shapes, they're all kind of have the hook at the end, but a bunch of sizes, variety on handles, sets, and probably more gauges than I will ever use in my life. Now, going with hooks, you are going to want to pay attention to what gauge you should be using with your yarn. Now, on the slip of the yarn, and there's a tag, and it's right here. It'll tell you what gauge you should be using for that yarn. That's the ideal gauge for that yarn. Loops and Threads, the Soft Classic, does use a 5.5, so since I use it the most, that's pretty much the majority of my hook sizes. And it does go up. I've got plenty. There's nothing wrong with using a gauge higher or a gauge lower. Just know that it'll make your stitches either looser or tighter, depending. Next up, stitch markers. Mine are made of plastic. You can use pretty much anything, yarn scraps, safety pins, paper clips, really anything just to mark the stitch, because there's nothing worse than doing a chain to 300, losing your count in the middle, and having to go count. Honestly, I just start over and rip the whole thing out and restart. I like to put my stitch markers every 25 stitches. I do know some people like them at 10, some at 5. It's really up to your discretion where you want to put them. It's your project. It's how much you want to keep track of. But I do 25. Next up, yarn balls. Ooh, yarn balls. Okay, so this one's just a Halloween cauldron from Michael's. But hey, it works, and it makes me happy because it has frogs. Bunnies. I usually only use the yarn bowls when I'm working with balls of yarn. With the skeins, center pole, and they just kind of stay where I want them to. Oh, that's another nice thing about this brand. The center pole is right there. It's 99% of the time an easy grab. Next up, scissors. I have those somewhere. Scissors. They don't have to be anything fancy. Just small enough to clip the yarn. These ones are a Singer brand. Obviously, everybody knows about Singer brand. Loops and Threads also has scissors. They're surprisingly good. I've had a set of Loops and Threads scissors for a couple years, and they haven't dulled. They're still clipping it in one clip. They're still sharp, but go-to is a Singer. But Singer can be pricey, so if you're looking for a lower price point, Loops and Thread scissors, they're really, really good. Let's see here. Measuring tape. This is so you can measure to make sure you're getting how long you want it. That's really all that measuring tape is for. Needles for weaving in ends. I like to do plastic because they don't um, jab the yarn and break it as much. There's plastic needles used for weaving in the ends. Next up, we have our first aid tape. And I know this is weird, just bear with me. When you're crocheting a lot, the yarn can cause friction. Um, Not so much with the brand I use, but there are other brands, and everybody uses a different brand. No judgment. It's all your personal choice. But this has saved me from friction burns so many times. And you just take it, wrap it around your finger where the yarn would go, and it saves that friction burn. You could use a crochet ring, but I I can't. They just bug me so much. So I go for the first aid tape. Let's see here. Next up, tablet. So I like to have all my patterns in one place. I like to be able to carry them with me. So with the tablet, armed with my row counter app, I have all of my patterns, and yeah, pops up right there. I can take them with me. Super handy. And that's it. Other than a TV going off with whatever I'm binging or just have on for background noise. It can be supernatural, it can be serial killer documentaries, it can be comedies, whatever I want for the day, whatever my mood is. That's it. That's all I use. You've seen my tools. If you've watched my other video on Stitch Fiddle, you've seen how I make my graphs and import my patterns into my row counter, which is on the tablet. So if you haven't, go ahead, take a look at those. They're really easy tools to use. And toss a like, toss a subscribe if you want to be notified when the next video comes out. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!